Let's not leave your addiction yet.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
because addiction, I think, visits most of us in one way or another, be it through food, be it through
Right.
drink, be it through cigarettes, be it through crack, cocaine, legal prescription drugs.
Exactly. Exactly. Our relationship
Yes,
with people.
with people, sometimes
right.
we're addicted to
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
And it's a topic that I know I try to deal with. I'm not addicted to any illegal drug, but when it comes to food,
Yeah.
you know, there's
Yeah.
a food addiction
Yeah.
within me. And
Yeah.
it has to do with the pleasure principle. The pleasure principle is what you get from the addiction, and where you're always chasing that pleasure that it brings you. Please speak about that. How do you break an addiction?
Well, actually, what happened with me, and I chronicle it in the book, was that it went from drug addiction, and then it reared its ugly head in the way that, in my relationship with women, let's say,
Okay.
it manifests itself in that area. Because I met a very, very nice young woman, and you know, I just wasn't faithful, you know, and that led to problems. This was a wonderful person. In fact, to give you a case in point, after we had been married for a number of years, you know, if you read the early part of the book, I just love clothing, love shoes and things like that. So I came home one day and I told my wife at the time that I was going to take all our money out the bank and move to Italy to start a shoe company. And she told me, if that's really what you want to do, go ahead and do it. So I lived in Milan for 6 months.
Wow.
And I started the shoe company, and it was very successful. I came home, we had a very good clientele. It was just a really good business. But it's just that everything fell apart because my inability to be faithful. So yeah, it manifests itself in other ways.
So you say that the inability to be faithful is just another manifestation of addiction?
I think so.
Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's been like a struggling part of who you are and what you are.
Absolutely.
Overcoming addiction.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now let's go back to the name of the book. The name of the book is HARLEM SON.
Right.
And being from Brooklyn, you know, Harlem. You know, Harlem is that place up there. You know, that I know about through history.
Yeah. I just thought it was a clever name. You know, it was a working title for a long time.
Does Harlem Harlem obviously holds a soft place in your heart?
Absolutely, and still does.
Are you still in Harlem?
No, in fact, I live in White Plains now, but I lived in Harlem just recently for almost 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so it has a...
And is that where most of the book takes place?
A lot of the book takes place in Harlem, but it also, part of the book takes place in Brooklyn. I lived in Brooklyn. And I think the most interesting thing, particularly during my formative years, is that I went to 10 schools in 11 years. Wow. Yeah, all through Brooklyn. I lived in Brooklyn, went to 271 on Herkimer Street. Then I lived in Harlem, of course. I lived in the Bronx. I lived in Queens.
Now, what was your relationship with your father and also your mom?
Well, my father passed away when I was 15. So my father didn't see that side of me. But the conflict that I had with my father, you have to remember, my father was a Garveyite. He came to the United States in 1922 from Jamaica. He was a strict Garveyite. And I looked at my dad as a progressive person. You know, his politics was very progressive. But when the 60s came about, and during my formative years, I looked at my father and I noticed that he was basically a step behind the movement that was coming through in the 60s. To give you a case in point, my father did not like Muhammad Ali. Like, for instance, at the time he was Cassius Clay. He did not like him at all. He didn't like Malcolm X, you know, and it puzzled me that, gosh, here's my father who was a progressive, a Garveyite. How could he come now and not like the people who were progressive in the 60s And,
okay, let's speak a little bit about
yeah.
Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey was in the 20s.
Right.
And he did the whole Back to Africa.
Back to Africa movement.
He was the one that helped to establish Liberia.
Right, to get people to
move back.
Move back.
So
to
when
Liberia.
you say your father was a Garveyite,
right,
he was still with that movement to get black folks to move back to Africa.
Well,
when you say a Garveyite, what do you mean?
For me, when I say Garveyite, my father believed in, you know, independence as an African American man. He believed that, you know, pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of mentality, and just hardworking, no excuses, just hard work.
So he didn't like Malcolm X, Cassius Clay.
No,
but they're
not at
more
all.
in the line of Garveyite.
You would think.
You would think.
You would think. But it was just that age group.
So,
you know?
So what about Martin Luther King?
He loved Martin Luther King. He loved Martin Luther King. But you have to remember, during that time, there was, you know, Martin Luther King was, you know, march and nonviolence. But coming up as a kid, I'm a teenager, you know, and I was a huge admirer of Stokely Carmichael at the time, H. Rap Brown, and people like that. And those were the people I was influenced by, you know. And then all of a sudden, turning the TV on one day in 1968 and seeing the Black Panther Party and stuff like that, and, you know, Huey Newton and people like that. And I was inspired, you know, being 17 years old, I was inspired. And my dad looked down and says, whoa, this is too radical. So basically the earth shifted under his feet, you know, and I could see it, you know.
Now, we're coming to the end, so I want to bring it back to the beginning. And you spoke about your grandson, your 16-year-old grandson, and how you wanted to make sure that something was written down so he could have something to go by or to know you by. Did he read the book yet? Has he read the book? And if so,
actually, well, you know, the book is, you know, it's a lot of adult scenarios in the book, so, you know, I'll give him a little time. He'll get to it, I'm sure. It's just a lot of adult things in the book.
So he has not read the book yet?
Not as of yet, but I know he will. He's curious.
How about your siblings? Did any of them read the book?
Oh, absolutely.
And their reaction to it?
They want to know who's going to play their roles in the movie.
Oh, they see bigger things for you already. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're working on another book. What is it? Fiction, nonfiction,
it's a
biographical?
It's a fiction. I don't want to give too much of it away, but it's a period piece.
It's a period piece.
It's a period piece.
Set in what period? Okay.
It's set in the 1930s. It's got a lot of colorful characters.
Why'd you pick the 30s?
Because it's my favorite time. Okay. It's my favorite period.
Why?
The clothing, the music, just people, you know, just, it's amazing to me how African American people can go through that period and, you know, pre-civil rights and pre-all this stuff and still emerge as a strong, hard-working people, you know, just being able to do a lot of things under those circumstances. Okay. So I'm intrigued by that period.
And if someone wants to find your book, how would someone find your book? I'm in independent bookstores, Human Books, Black Star Video, Westchester Botanica Bookstore in White Plains. Yeah, independent bookstores, and of course, Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. And how has it been received?
Very well, in fact. I get emails and letters from people from all over the country. But I think the most important thing for me is that to be able to reconcile, you know, with my ex-wife and, you know, my family and the people who loved me pretty much, who I was very selfish with, and to be able to see them now and be around them and just to have things out in the open, I think it's just very good and therapeutic. So.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on Straight Up, Kevin Thorbourne.
Thank you for having me.
And sharing your book, Harlem Son, here. And I want to thank WB Wendy Branch, shout out to her, for bringing you to me. And I wish you all the best and all the success.
Thank you very much.
You know, when the new book comes out, right here.
I surely will.
Okay.